Hello, everyone. What's going on? Happy Friday. Um, I wanted to film outside really bad, but I don't know. It's hot outside. And I was getting overheated, so that didn't happen. I'm chilling in here with the fan on right now. Um, so what I want to talk about is what is shamanic journey, how I do it, um, what else? Things that you can do on the shamanic journey. I guess I'll talk about that as well. So, shamanic journeying is basically when you. It's similar to astral projection in that you are leaving your body, but shamanic journey you do it by an altered state of consciousness. So when you're awake, obviously you're conscious, right? When you go to bed, your subconscious is more in the driver's seat than your consciousness. You're considered to be unconscious and not hearing and not, paying attention to what's going on. So a shaman basically has the ability to, um, how do I explain it? It's like you're not deaf to, if I'm laying here and I'm on a shamanic journey using drums, for example, because drums create an altered state of consciousness. Um, Obviously, drugs do too. So that's why people take like ayahuasca or mushroom. Well, you don't want to do that on mushrooms, but I know that some crazy people do. Not recommended. But whatever. Or I might drink some sort of herbal concoction that will put me under the altered state, right? So a shaman, they are in that altered state and also conscious at the same time. So um, when I do it, I prefer drums. I've never done it with drugs. Maybe one day I will if I travel a little bit, but I'm not pressed about it. But basically, I just lay out my yoga mat and relax. Put on some drums. Um, or you can have someone drumming for you if you're in a drumming circle. And basically, at a certain point in time, your brain kind of does this thing, and you become aware that you're in both states of consciousness and that you can do other things that your body is limited to doing, right? So, right, so that's how you do it. And what you do when you're on a journey is up to you. Um, but there's basics that everyone follows, which is portals, how to get there, how to get where you're going. So you have obviously our earthly realm, and most of the time when people, or this 3D realm, when people astral project, they stay on 3D usually. That's like saying, okay, I'm here in North Carolina and I'm just gonna um, project to, I don't know, DC or China or something. You're still on the 3D plane, right? Um, your other places that you can go is the underworld and the upper world, or sometimes called heaven and hell. And you need a way of transportation to both places. You need a way of entering both places. Now, obviously, to get to the underworld, you need to use a 3D place to go below the earth. So, what I always do is, when I was a kid, there's this part that I always went to with this half. Well, it was a dead tree, but it was like they cut it in half. So, for whatever reason, it was like a big hole, and like raccoons and stuff would be sitting inside of this hole. Anyway, and it was big enough to where like us smaller kids would hide inside the hole during hide and seek. If you had on a brown shirt, you could make it happen. Nobody would see you. It was a huge hole. And um so basically every time that I travel to the underworld, I go to this tree in my mind and enter into the underworld that way. Um But you can do anything. Some people say you can use a house, you can use a river, you can use water, you can, well, you can't fly downwards, so you don't really want to fly. Um, I've heard of other people who use trains or cars. Like you're driving to a certain place and basically the car stops or the train stops, or this is where the train, you know what I mean? The underworld is where that train stops. It's pretty cool. There's so many different ways to, excuse me, get to the underworld. And the upper world, you need to figure out how to go high. And so the very first time that I did it, I think I shared that one. The very first time that I did it, I went up to a mountaintop, the highest mountain that I had ever seen, which is out there in the Appalachians. And I jumped and I told myself to fly, that I had to go up, and that's what I did. And you can fly. You don't have limitations like you do inside your body. You can fly. You can get bigger. You can get smaller. You can get all cut up and not die. And shamanism is really graphic. And for people who've had a reading done by me or by other shamans, you know it's kind of graphic. I like to be descriptive because oftentimes the things that are happening are symbolic of other things, and I might not know it, but you might know it. So it's a really interesting, what I call a language. So basically, when I go to the upper world, I go for knowledge. That's where the Akashic records are. If you don't know where the Akashic records, it's supposed to be like a big ass library. Actually, it looks more like, it looks, and this is funny because I was in a drumming group one time, and this person described the exact same thing that I saw. So, must be real, right? I walked into this room. It had these huge doors, and someone pulled the doors open for me, and I walked through. And when I walked through, all I saw was something like an enchanted forest or something. And the trees weren't very tall; they were maybe about 4 feet or so, and they all had books on them that were open. And it wasn't quite a stump. It was stump. It was like leaves and stuff were growing around the book, and you could just open it up and read it. And they were glowing, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm about to read this shit." And somebody said to me, "None of those over there are pertaining to you," and so I didn't read them. And it's funny because the girl that was in the drum circle said that when she got up there and she saw the books, she was about to do the same thing, go and see what it said, and that someone also stopped her. Which is interesting. But anyway, when I go to the upper world, I have a teacher there, and we talk about stuff. And there's so many elders, um, and ascended masters that reside in the upper world. Um, and then in the underworld, which is where I go more often because that's where the ancestors reside, in the inner earth. And um, obviously, that's where I do an ancestor reading from, or just plain guidance from your. It's not likely that, okay, I'm going to go all the way to the underworld and I'm just going to listen to you guys, because that's pointless. You go to the underworld and talk to your ancestors, talk to those that came before you, and I get information on how you can heal yourself or what it is that you need to be doing in your life. Um, I don't want to like get into anyone's particular story, but shamanism allows you to heal things that we can't heal in the 3D world very easily. It allows you to perform extractions, which is to take out illness or sickness. You can remove trauma from the body as if it didn't happen. Um, what else? You can cleanse, you can bathe, you can purify yourself, you can cause yourself to really change. I've been personally been different ever since I learned shamanism, because I learned how to go to the source, like not just pitter patter around, in life and just say, well, okay, I need to heal this thing or I need to do this thing, and have all these blockages and these deterrents in your way, when you can, if you want to, do it for yourself and say, okay, I'm going to the underworld and I'm going to meet my ancestors there and they're going to tell me what it is that I need to do to change things in my life. If you have the courage to do it, you're going to find the answers. Excuse me. And that's what I discovered about myself. I had the courage to do it. And as I've journeyed so many times and also have done it for other people, I feel more comfortable doing it for other people now. And every time I go with something different, every time I learn something, and I learn something about myself and my own personal abilities, I feel like shamanism for the masses, because it helps you meet aspects of yourself that you don't know. Oftentimes in this world, we're so defined by our culture or our race or um, our language, our nationality, all of those different things define us. When you're in shamanism, when you're in the underworld or you're in the upper world, none of those things exist. It's you, the soul, or you, the spirit. And it's almost like as if you're being judged, but you're only being judged by yourself. It's not like like your ancestors are like, no, nobody's like bitching at you about what you do and don't do. They're just guiding you, because you come here to accomplish certain things. You come back to accomplish certain things. Let me put it that way. And so, what else I want to mention? It really is limitless. And I'm not going to say I don't think there's anything more powerful, because obviously things can happen on 3D that are quite powerful, but it's almost a painless type of powerful. If you're going through shamanic extraction, or healing of traumas, or the removal of entities, I think I'm going to do a video on that too, about trauma to begin with, because it's a big deal, okay? And so I don't want to take up the video doing a whole bunch of topics, but where the hell did I start at? I forgot my train of thought. I'm saying that like shamanism, you can heal all of those things without the excess, because the shaman is the person that's going in and doing the healing for you. Now, a shaman can't do everything. It does take action on your part, of course, but you can do a whole lot, right? And so, what the hell else was I about to say? Versus other methods, like, okay, people who go to counseling, you have to talk. And in order for you to talk, you have to remember. And sometimes those memories are what takes you into the worst of depressions, or takes you into, a suicide type mentality, or gives you anxiety, or makes you feel highly uncomfortable and you don't want to go back to that therapist ever again. Things like that. What other methods? Some are hypnosis, and a lot of people. I think hypnosis can be pretty unpainful, I guess, because I think that that's for people who's gone through really severe trauma, and they don't, you don't want them talking about it and upsetting themselves and taking themselves back to that mentality, because a lot of people are just not that person that under so much trauma. Um, what is it called? Is it called evasive? I think it is, when it's like a shaman can go very, very deep, and the only thing you might feel is some, like a headache or nausea or whatever. You might feel a little sick or tired, things like that, without you actually having to go through and do a lot of the work. Eventually things will come up, but it will come up in a way that you can handle it, versus therapy or hypnosis, where it kind of comes up all at once, if that makes sense. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say about shamanic journey. If you have any questions, please let me know, because I like video topics. I have stuff to talk about and keep things going. And please like, comment, subscribe if I could talk, and share because I said so. It's like, no, for real. Like, comment, subscribe, and share because I'm going to build a website. I'm doing that now. I'm in the process of doing that. It's not easy because I'm doing it myself, but I'm going to do that and blog about healing because that's what I'm here for. Um, and once I launch it, I'll announce it and all of that good stuff, and start offering the services of shamanism to the public. All right, y'all have a good one.